You listen to the Freeman Bosley Jr. Show on KTZ 1600 AM. We've got some guests. We got Mr. Eddie Simmons back, and he brought us a guest. We got a young man that's coming to hang out with us a little bit. And I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to let Eddie introduce him to him, but it's going to be a surprise to us. But many of you already know him and have heard of him before. Eddie Simmons.
Yes, sir.
Good friend. Always willing to give us some up-to-date information in terms of what's going on in the St. Louis Police Department. And retired, how many years did you put in?
28 and a half.
28 and a half.
Yes,
so
sir.
You clearly saw it all.
Yes, sir.
Probably did it all, too, in terms of being out here in these neighborhoods and these communities.
Oh, yes.
All right, and so you brought a young man with you today that you've talked to me about on several occasions, and I've heard about him on a couple of occasions as well. So last time you all talked about it, I said, let's get him in. Let's talk about it. See, you want to introduce him?
Yes, sir. This gentleman, and I use it very lightly, is Lieutenant Perry Johnson. Lieutenant Johnson and I used to ride together when he was a police officer. I went to the 8th District. He was there. We hooked up then, and I really love riding with this brother. He knows the street. He knows the job. Though I had been here longer than him, but he taught me some stuff. I mean,
Really?
the guy's off the chain, man. I'm telling you. Right. And then God blessed me to go down to Mobile Reserve, and he came down to Mobile Reserve, and we hooked back up again, and we ran them streets. But look here, this man is now, I saw him when he was a sergeant, lieutenant. Now he's lieutenant. He teaches racial profiling classes throughout the department, which is really good. Everybody, we all learn from this man. And now he is the commander over the juvenile division, which is a very important, because there's a lot of little crazies out there, and he has the key to reaching them.
Okay.
Yep,
All
Lieutenant
right.
Perry Johnson.
All right, well, Lieutenant Johnson, we want to welcome you to the Freeman Bosley Jr. Show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We try to focus a lot on what's going on in our neighborhoods and in our community, and we know that a lot of times the issues have to do with young people.
Yes.
And reason why I think Brother Simmons and myself think that you're so important is because you're dealing with them every day. You're the commander of the juvenile division. So I would imagine we had a young man just called in a few minutes ago, want me to tell him what's going on and why people act the way they do. We believe, I'm going to defer to you because we believe that you probably know more about it than we do.
Yeah, I've been blessed to had an opportunity to work with a lot of young people, starting out with PAL years ago within the police department, and going back and working with people like Daryl Noble, Jill Lofton, Ronnie Robinson, and working with those folks who taught me a lot. And throughout the years, I've been able to just gather a lot of knowledge on the basis of what needs to be done in dealing with young people. Being the commander of the juvenile division, I have 12 detectives and 2 sergeants that work for me. And we're in all the schools every day, high schools, middle schools, elementary schools. And what I discovered once I got to the unit, and it was something that I'd kind of always known in the back of my mind, was that the young people out there are in crisis. And now they're a lot more educated on what's going on in the world. And we have to approach them that way. We have to be able to reach these young people. And guess what? We have to reach them at a young age. So what I started looking at was putting programs into the school, program called GREAT, which stands for Gang Resistance Education and Training, and also a program called STOP, which stands for Students Talking It Over with Police. Because one thing I did discover is that if you can get in there, you can relate to the young people, they will listen to you.
Yeah, okay. And so how many, well, first I wanted to ask you, do you come in contact with Judge Edwards?
Yes, I do.
Over
Yes,
in Concept Academy.
Yes.
And, I always have to try to recognize him for what he has done, man. I mean, it just overwhelms many of us, the fact that out of all the judges in the country, this is one judge that decided that he wanted a school of juveniles.
Exactly.
And not only a school of juveniles, wanted all the bad ones.
Right.
And so, I mean, that kind of concept right there I think goes into what it is that you're doing.
Yes.
Because if you got somebody that is that concerned, that would work with you, then you all can really have impact.
Yes, we can. And like as I stated earlier, putting these programs into schools where policemen are going into schools and breaking it all the way down to its simplest form as to who they are as a person. Because guess what? These young people have to see us as people first, and we become their friends so that they're not afraid of us. I don't want young people to be afraid of me. I don't want them to be afraid of any officers. I want them to respect officers. And that's a gap that we have to bridge.
And so now, When you say a class, now are they forced into the class, or do people just get to sign up for the class, or how does the class work?
Well, here, I'll talk about our STOP program. It's a program we got out of Milwaukee. Milwaukee Police Department started this program about 5 years ago. We reached out to them, and they said, yes, we would love to do a pilot program here in St. Louis because of what you're all experiencing. So what we do is we take we take two different groups. We take a focus group, we take a control group, and we give the focus group the program, which consists of about 12 kids. Okay. And then we come back and we do data comparison. We give a pre-test and a post-test so we can figure out if we're making some kind of an impact with these children. The very neat thing about the program is I put my officers in the school for 7 weeks. The administrators within the schools, they pick the kids. You know, because I want the leaders. And what I mean by leaders is I'm not just talking about the kids that are academically strong. I want the kids that are leaders in their communities too, because they have an influence. So,
and the teachers are able to identify who they think, one, could benefit or who they want to benefit.
Exactly. And those are the kids I want. I want those hard to reach kids. I want those kids that I got to convince, because you know what? Ahead. Yes, because once I convince them, they're going to convince some other kids.
Right. Now, and that's one of the things that I asked some of the guys that we've been able to help over the years. Are you able to actually go back, talk to some of the folks that were right there with you at the time, and does it make sense to them? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You were listening to some good people. We've been talking about what's going on in these schools, and Perry Johnson seems to be on top of it. And so I'm going to quit asking questions, quit talking. So I'm going to let him talk a little bit. So, Perry, Lieutenant, what is it that you got that's going on that you think is really beneficial right now?
First off, we got a number of different programs we want to do. We started off talking about the STOP program, which is students talking it over with police. We've got that program right now in 3 middle schools, in Carlane, McKinley, and Compton Drew. We're looking to expand it to a couple of more starting in January. And it's a program where the officers go in for 7 weeks and they interact on a close basis with the children. Along with that program, we've got the GREAT program. We just recently trained about 24 police officers with the GREAT program, which is Gang Resistance Education and Training. This is a program that was part of the police department a number of years ago and then kind of fell by the wayside a little bit. So we're revitalizing that, because I'm getting ready to put 24 officers in schools throughout the metropolitan area, just so we can go in and we can have an impact on these kids. Because here's what we need to do. We need to reduce that initial volatile contact that these kids are having. The thing about these programs that I like is, we're going to give the kids an ID card where they have their picture, their information on it. It's a card that says, hey, we work with the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department. So that if a kid gets stopped by a police officer, he can show him that card, and that officer can understand, hey, you know what? This kid's been educated. This kid knows what we're about. He knows what we do and what we're supposed to do. So that's something that we look forward to. Next year, my ultimate goal is to put a program in the high schools.
Well, what do you say to people? Is, oh, man, they got these people on there talking about these folks ain't doing nothing. There ain't nothing going on. Nothing's happening. Nobody's trying to make a difference. There's no real change is coming about. How do you, particularly though they make those comments and then they're really doing nothing,
right?
But they're throwing rocks at us and people like you that are trying to do something, but they do. It's almost like in a negative sense, but at the same time demanding more.
Right.
So what do you?
Here's what I say to that. I say I'm in the business of connecting the dots, connecting all the right people to make things happen. If somebody wants to doubt what we're doing, come on and come see me. Come see me, sit down and talk to me. Come and walk around with me for a day.
Right.
And let me take you to various locations.
Handle that, I don't think.
Nah, they probably couldn't handle that.
They want to be free to say what they're saying. See, they don't want to have the knowledge that you exist. See, some folks don't want to know that something else is going on, because then that takes them out of play in terms of being able to make the comments they make. So they want to be free. So my dad used to say, son, some people don't want to be confused with the facts.
Right.
They don't want the facts. You know what I'm saying? So you have been involved for how many years now?
Now probably about 15 years. I did a lot of stuff on my own before I was a commander of juvenile division. So once I got there, it was natural for me.
And you mentioned initial volatile contact. Now, what is that?
That's basically when you get a young person, particularly juvenile, that may be afraid of the police, and they come across police officers, and that initial contact sets a tone for how they're going to view police officers from here on out.
Okay, all right, okay. It's just like the first first interaction.
Exactly, it is. It's the first interaction. And guess what? Not only do we have to teach the young people how to deal with that, we need to teach the officers how to deal with that also.
Just as much.
Yes.
Just as much. Now, the thing is, say, for instance, we know that most of the kids coming up now already have been orientated about police, and they don't have a positive impression.
Right.
So that initial contact is, I'm getting ready to come in contact with somebody that I've heard really doesn't mean me any good.
Right.
That's the initial contact.
It is.
From there, what happens?
Well, I teach officers, you gotta not let the glass divide you. That means you gotta roll the window down. You gotta talk. Okay. And you have to come with your hands open. If the situation provides for that. There are some situations we all know that you have to deal with things accordingly. Yeah. But a majority of the situations aren't like that. Right. So you need to come with your hands open and let that young person know initially, hey, I'm not here to harm you. It goes in your character, in your demeanor. It goes to how you were raised. It goes into your perceptions. It goes when we start talking about bias-based policing. When we start talking about implicit bias, how do you handle your implicit bias? Everybody has a bias, but the thing is, how do you handle it?
Now, let's drill down a little bit. You say approach with your hands open. What do you mean by that? Some people don't understand that.
What I mean by that is your body language, your demeanor. Right. You're an open personality, a willing personality, a personality that says, yes, I am an authoritative figure. I'm a police officer, but I'm here to help. I'm here to listen, and I'm here to understand. So, especially if it's a non-confrontational occasion. Yeah. We ride around here all day long with opportunities to interact with people. How many people do it?
How many people? Yeah, let me tell you a story. I told this story. That is true. Sometimes there's a place called Midtown up on Prairie in North Market. They have fish on Thursday, so sometime a group of us will go up there. When it's nice outside, I observed this a couple times. The place sometime on Thursday gets so packed that people stand around outside. There's this white officer that comes up in a car, and he's by himself. All right, he sits there for a few minutes, and then he gets out the car, and he comes up in the crowd. He just talking to people, and folks recognize him because he's done it on several occasions, and he just stand around there talking to people. And next thing you know, I look up, here comes the sisters. They come out and bring him a plate of food, some fish. He stand around, eat the fish, and he's talking a little bit. He's by himself, all right, and people are shaking his hand, just talking to him and interacting with him. Nobody normally, when police roll up, people is gonna scatter everybody. Man, there come police. I'm out of here. He's standing there. They not, everybody's. The folks have welcomed him literally into this crowd as a white man all by himself. Now he don't have his hand's not on his gun. Matter of fact, he doesn't even have. I don't even think he had his hat on. His collar was open. And he just standing there talking. He's standing there for about 30 minutes. Next thing I know, here's somebody gonna bring him some juice or something to drink. He sits there, keep talking around. Next thing you know, he get back in the car and he drives off. I had really, I know officers interact with us, but I really hadn't seen that lately. Right. Where officer gets out the car in this climate, you know what I'm saying? Because I know it's hard. In this climate, you're getting out the car, he's hanging out with them, really. That's what he's really doing. Right. And then he just goes on, That does not happen that often. So he must have felt or has some type of comfort level with the community.
Goes back to how you raised.
Yeah.
It goes back to how you were raised. That's community policing. Yeah. Right there. Yeah. And guess what? That man is comfortable.
Yeah, he is.
He doesn't feel threatened, and they don't feel threatened. And that's what we have to get back to.
And then they ain't gonna let nobody mess with him.
No, not at all.
Yeah. They ain't gonna let nobody mess with him.
See, when you really start to look at this, it's not about black and white.
Yeah. Right.
It really isn't when it comes to how you get out there and interact with people. It comes from you as a person and what you bring. Once people get comfortable with you, they're going to look, number one, and this is what we got to get people to do. They're going to look beyond the uniform, and then they're going to look beyond the color. They're going to look at you as a person, and that's exactly what we want. And that's what we try to do when we go into these schools.
Now, you say, you mentioned something that people probably didn't catch up on. You said you got to let that glass down.
Yes, you do.
The window. You talking about the window?
Yes.
That's what you got to do, because that is an opening in and of itself.
It is.
That's an opening in and of itself. And so what else do you tell them? I mean, because some of them come hard, and I see situations, we ride down the street, something, they done taking the guys out the car, they put the handcuffs on, got them sitting on the curb. Now, I don't subscribe to that. I don't think that that's necessarily the right thing to do.
Right.
I mean, particularly, you just make a traffic stop. Ain't nobody charged with nothing.
Right.
So why are we doing that?
Lack of training.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Lack of training.
I just need to get it out.
Unfortunately, we have some officers out there that aren't doing the right things. They're reacting on emotion. Mm-hmm. They're reacting on ego and things of that sort. And you got to see people for who they are. And you have to get people to see you for who you are. Yeah. As that person. Unfortunately, there are some officers that you let this job pile up on you, and it hardens your heart, and it removes you from being the person that you truly are.
Yeah. It desensitizes.
Yes.
You're insensitive.
Yes.
You just and we understand police officers trying to get home, really, at the end of the day, trying to go home. But I guess it's what's transpiring all up in between that day, the interaction,
exactly,
the calls that you get, the language,
everything. So we address the things on the opposite ends of the spectrum, right, when there's really isn't anything going on, and then when the meter's to the max, right, we truly address that. But what about everything in between?
Yeah. Well, what do we do to try to get the officers? And I'm not trying to get police to be friends with folks, but just to be a little more interactive. You know what I'm saying? Before the confrontation comes. I mean, when we were coming up, we would get into it with the police a lot, but there were also still officers that was remember our names. Not necessarily say, "Hey, come on over here, let me talk to you, see what you go." Just, "Hey, what's going on? So and so, what you all doing today?" Something like that. Just before, like you say, before some drama happens.
Right.
Because once that started happening, everybody running, trying to get out the way. There's no time for that now.
Right.
But, I mean, like you say, they riding every day, all day long. So before something happens, can't you stop? Can you say, "Hey, wave at folks, what's going on," or something like that?
You can. You can. And here's what I teach young kids. When I go into schools, I talk to them about different things within the police department. We talk about things, CompStat. Things like that, community-oriented policing, things of that sort. So I tell them, when you're out there and you see a police officer riding in your neighborhood, wave at him.
Yeah.
All right. If he doesn't wave again.
Right.
And then if he doesn't wave again, you yell at him. I'm going to keep waving at you until you wave at me.
Break him down.
Exactly. You break him down.
Can you take some calls?
Yes, I can.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm done my talk. I'm through. 333-8160. 333-8160. Call in. You got the police in here now. I'm telling you, you got the man over the juveniles. He's in here now. So here they'll do, I should have asked you when they see me on the street. Well, why didn't you ask him? No, you can call in. You
call me up.
You can call in. You can ask them. Some of you that have kids that are juveniles that are in school right now. Good morning, you on there. What's your question or comment? Hello.
Hi. I wanted to know how you supposed to feel about the police when you see your loved ones with bruises and everything and disfigured from what they've done to them. How do you then turn and feel differently about them? How do you do that?
I'm going to try to paraphrase what you just said. He just got a chance to put some headphones on. What she just asked, Lieutenant, is that when in situations where police have been brutal to family members, now we asking the family members to be open to the officers, to be approachable, to engage officers. Why would they do that? Why would they want to do that, knowing that a police officer has victimized a member of their family or somebody they know?
Well, the unfortunate thing is,
thank you, Miss. He's going to answer.
We can't approach you. You're not going to be able to approach every officer. I understand that when you have family members that have been victimized, it's hard to approach officers, and you may not be able to approach that officer that has victimized your family, and that's an unfortunate thing. But there are some officers out there that you can approach. There are some good officers out there that won't mind talking to you and will understand what you're going through and maybe try to give you some more insight on it.
Yeah, well,
loser.
they going, but she hung up. She's listening now. They just want
to. And you got to find those good officers that you can talk to and you can relate to. It's unfortunate you can't paint us all with a broad brush because we're all different. There's some of those of us out there that do truly care. And it's an unfortunate situation, one that we would love to be able to fix that situation. But I'll tell you this, don't base the actions of a few on all of us because we're not all the same.
Well, and the other piece to that is if you can wind up being civil with somebody, having a relationship, at least you got somebody you can talk to.
You got somebody you can go to.
Life does go on, and there will be more interaction.
Yes, there will be.
Police aren't going away, and you not going away.
Right. And I tell anybody this: if you get an opportunity to go and talk with an officer, go and talk to them. If they don't want to talk to you, shame on them. Yeah. You made the effort. Well,
that's I always try to speak to them whenever I see them, because that's just what I will do. And then in many instances, they deserve that. Here people, and we sometimes, some folks are intimidated, scared of them or whatever, but here's folks out here going to put their life on the line for you. At least that's what they're supposed to do every day. So I think an acknowledgement of their presence, I think is I think that's worthwhile.
Oh, definitely.
It's just an acknowledgement of their presence.
Yes.
You in the store, hey, how you doing? Something like that.
Right.
I mean, you ain't got to freeze up, put your mean mug on.
Right.
I mean, you ain't got to do all that. Hey, how you doing?
Right.
Something like that. Because you don't know what they just went through. You don't know what they're getting ready to go through.
Right.
They get a call while they in the store with you.
Right. And hopefully that officer lets you know he's a real person.
Yeah, just say hi.
And talks to you and speaks to you.
Yeah, I wouldn't care. Well, I do care. I'd like for them to,
right.
but it doesn't bother me that they don't. I just, hey, how you doing? And just go on. But we need to do more of that because sometimes our people just get uptight. Man, police in the store.
Right.
Yeah, well, the police, they got the right to go in the store, too.
Right.
They might want a soda or some
right.
water or something.
Right.
That don't mean run. The police don't mean run from them. But if you got that funky weed, now they going to smell it.
Right.
And
right.
see, the other thing is they get mad because we smell the weed while they ride by and they think we supposed to smell it. Or they don't think we can smell it.
Right.
You go in the store, they funky.
You can't put yourself in that situation. We have a job to do, but don't put yourself or us in that situation.
Well, I think that this is a little crazier than that. I don't think they think we know. I don't think they think we can smell it. Because, see, the nose will synthesize itself.
Right.
They don't know they smelling like that. But if you ain't smelling like that, you're going to notice it just like that.
Mm-hmm.
You see? And you think you're going to go into Walgreens, you think you're going to come on over to the store, you're going to be at churches and come in where the bar or whatever. The minute you walk by, people know it's loud.
Right.
So... And we picked up these cases where folks had some possession cases, and the police stopped them, pulled them over, and told them, "Well, we smell you when you walk by." They said, "But they can't smell." Yes, they can.
Yeah, yes, you can.
Smell it.
Yes,
you can smell. Matter of fact, you can smell it 2-3 cars away.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Would you say 4?
Yeah.
So
yes,
that's how they go. 333-8160, and we're gonna let you go in a minute. 333-8160. We got the police in here in the studio with us now. If you got a juvenile, there's a lady that will call. Maybe once a month. She got about 3-4 kids that she can't do nothing with.
Mm-hmm.
And she wants always asking us, what can she do? I'm hoping that she's around and make me. How do you respond to a person that say, I got kids I can't do nothing with?
First of all, I'll get a couple of my detectives and we'll go by that house. We'll sit down and we'll assess the situation. Yeah. We do. We'll do a mediation. We'll sit down and talk with the family, talk with the kids, and find out what's going on. Well. Because if she got 3 or 4 kids, she can't control. Something's going on.
Well, that's what. So my next thing is to you. Do you think after that it's going to really make a difference?
It depends. Well, it depends on what she does. We have resources. I'll give you an example with the GREAT program. The GREAT program puts the officers in the schools, but there's also a side program of that called Great Families, where we go out and we start reaching the families.
You come to the house?
Right, exactly. And we invite them out to a community center because it does us no good to address the kids within the schools, and then they go home and they get something different when they get home.
In a crazy environment.
Right. So we start to address the family to try to give it an overall feel.
Okay. We got a couple calls. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your question or comment? You're on the air.
Good morning.
Hi.
How you doing?
We good.
I was calling and concerned because we're talking with the officer that's online, right?
Yeah, he's on there. He's listening to you right now.
Okay, I had a situation yesterday. I had to call the police on my daughter's father because he out here doing dangerous things. He had tried to get me killed earlier this year. And so my daughter wasn't supposed to have been over his house. And so I called the police, and they said that they was going to take me over there to get her because I'm the custodian parent, and he's the non-custodian parent. And so, I mean, they came and they talked to me and everything. They didn't even take me over there to get my daughter. And they basically laughed about it, talking about she's all right, she's not in danger or anything, and we can't deny him from getting his child and stuff like that. And, I mean, it's just like, it don't seem like you even need an officer sometimes because they don't even try to help the situation, and they don't try to help until something happens. It's like they wait on something to happen first.
Okay. Did you get a chance
when you're trying to prevent it.
Perry, did you hear that? Yes, I did. Okay, all right. Go. Okay, hang up, baby. He's gonna answer. He's gonna try to answer you. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Basically, what you're saying is something that we deal with. And when I say we, my division, in the situation where you have custody of your child and you have paperwork to prove that, then you have that. The unfortunate thing is, in dealing with some of the officers, they may not be trained in that particular area.
Yeah, that's right.
And so,
is that like called domestic relations? Is that
yeah, it is. But basically, custody cases. That's something that my division handles.
It handles custody.
Yes.
Okay,
in that instance. They probably should have called a juvenile detective, and they may not have known that.
Didn't know who to call.
And we could have come out there, taken a look at the paperwork, and made a proper determination so that the proper thing was handled, so it was handled correctly.
Okay. All right, let me give. I got a situation came up last week. A guy that I know been working with us over the years. I met his daughter, met his son, and when they were little, and now they've grown up. They're adults now. I'd say they're 20, 22. His daughter now has a grandson. Mm-hmm. I mean, his daughter has a baby, which is his grandson, and things are going on over there. Put that on hold. Put that call on hold for a minute. So the things are going on over there now that he doesn't agree with. So when the grandson is with him, the grandson tells him things that upsets him about what goes on over there at the house. So he goes over. You know what grandpas do, okay? He goes over and confronts them. It's people in the house. And they get ready to have everything get ready to go down, and she calls the police. And it just so happens that the police officer knew him. But they made him leave. Made him leave. But how are you dealing with situations like that? Because you got grandparents that are making observations about what their kid, they're making observations about what their own children are doing and upset and go to that situation when I guess technically they don't have an in in that.
They don't. They don't.
Okay.
Right.
So what do you advise grandma and grandpa to do?
Well, they did the right thing, but you can't go over there and expect that situation to be completely rectified, especially if they don't have custody. Now, if it's shown that child is in some kind of danger or something like that, then there does need to be police intervention. That's where you call my detectives. We come out, we take a look at that household, and if it's a truly dangerous situation for that child, then we may look to try and place that child with grandpa, or we may hotline it, or we may have grandpa hotline it, or we may do a report and we'll hotline it so that we've made some type of notation that grandpa called, here was the concern. It all goes back to the level of danger that they feel that child is in. Unfortunately, in a lot of those situations, when we get there, it isn't necessarily what it seems all the time.
Or what it was.
Right, exactly. And then sometimes there is, and we have to take direct measures at that time to ensure that kid's safety.
Okay, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We got lines lit across the board. Let's get this. Good morning, you on there. What's your question or comment? Hello, you on the air.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, how
Freeman
you
Bosley. Happy Christmas, man. All of that good stuff. I just wanted to piggyback off the comment that the young lady made earlier about how to forget the police when they victimize your family.
Right.
You know, this Cornell McKay, I was on a show a couple of weeks ago. I was victimized by the police. I was locked up for the 3 years. Yeah. And I just wanted to go back to, you got to find God and you got to forgive. You got to learn how to forgive people who ain't got no mercy. You know, like the police might not show mercy on a lot of people in the community. Like they don't forgive us for what we do when we get traffic tickets or just anything. But you got to just know how to forgive, man. That's the biggest thing that I feel like people in the police got to learn how to do in the community is quit trying to take the plank out of somebody else's eye and worry about getting the dirt out their own eye. So it's just forgiveness. That's what I go with.
All right, man. But see, Cornell, the thing about it, but it's on both sides, right? It's on both ends. Each person.
Yeah. Jesus said you can't take the splinter out their eye without taking it out your own. So black people can't be talking about what they doing without talking about what they doing because, like you say, you know, I'm pretty sure if you go to a school and you ask some elementary kids how many people in there got a family member, something that's like their brother, father, they all raise their hand. But
Perry, this young man here, Cornell, was charged. Girl got killed in the Central West End. A white girl did. Within 24 hours, 48 hours, they charged him with it, locked him up. He was in jail for how many years was it, Corn? Was it 3?
3 years.
He was in jail for 3 years. And had some lawyers, Judge Dowd and some other lawyers came to his aid, fought that case, fought for his freedom, got him his freedom. And he is probably one of the most considerate people now, forgiven. You know, having 3 years in jail, locked up falsely. I mean, he could come out angry as hell. You hear what I'm saying? But he's in a different place now. And so that's what he's sharing. Thanks, Cornell, and let me know another week or so when you're ready to come back in, okay?
Oh, yeah, my brother. I'll let you know soon. But forgiveness, man, that's the only thing that's going to heal this city is forgiveness, you know?
But that's hard, brother. You know it's hard.
It got a dark history all the way back from Frederick Douglass and Dred Scott and all of that. So we just got to forgive.
He educated himself. He educated himself. Thank you, man. Happy holidays.
All right, my brother.
You.
God bless y'all.
Right, thank you. Now, that takes a lot, don't it?
That does.
That takes a lot.
That takes an awful lot.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's one of those people that you definitely want to give him a platform.
Oh, man. He was in here with us and just let us know about the whole thing, how it went down and everything, you know. And you would think that he would say, man, I don't want to deal with I don't have nothing to do with none of these characters and be off on something else.
Right.
But he is he comes forward. He wants to talk. He wants to enact. Matter of fact, maybe he might be a candidate or somebody that you might want me to talk to. So,
I'd love to sit down and talk with him.
We'll try to do that and see if we can get that together. Okay. Steve Harmon knows him well, so they'll work together. 333-8160, 333-8160. Good morning, you on the air. What's your question or comment? Hello.
He that has an ear to hear, let him hear.
What's
Good
going
morning,
on
everyone.
with you? Hey.
Yeah, I'd like to say this. I want to speak in terms of an incident that I've always encountered is when you get 40 and 50-year-old men saying that they hate the police. They don't respect the police, not just the young guys. Like I said, they are 40 or 50 years old. In fact, I had a conversation with a guy who was in his mid-40s within the last 4 to 6 weeks, and he was saying the exact same thing. He hates the police. Now, this same mindset is very degrading. It's very hurtful. But if you ask that person, why do you hate the police? They're only doing the job, and then they'll say whatever they have to say. But like attracts like. So the only reason why you really probably would hate the police is because you're doing something or maybe have done something that when they do their job, you have provoked them to something. Maybe you're doing something that's criminalistic. So we have to take this approach to see if we're doing wrong, which what the last guy just said. If we're doing wrong, how could we not like somebody who's only doing their job? The police, I agree, and I don't mean that all of them are good, just like I don't mean that all of them are bad. But there are people out there, policemen in particular, who are doing their job, like these gentlemen who's here on the panel now, doing their job and then reaching back into the community, and that's what's needed. Me, myself, personally, I have never had a problem with the police. No matter when I was 12 or 16 or 17 in my early 20s, never had a problem with the police because I know all I have to do is respect them. And that energy which comes from me, they could feel it. And then they were reflected back to me. One last thing I like to say is this. Driving down Natural Bridge, I just had an unction. And I looked over and saw the police. They looked at me. They flagged me, pulled me over and everything. And they were trying to irritate me. But I refused to let it get next to me. And at the end of that, he said, "Sir, you have a good day," and moved on. That's all it is. People, control yourself first,
right,
and then they will respect you. Thanks, Free, and I'm out.
All right, thanks. That's what I tell my little cousins, man, that in their 20s and stuff like that. I said, look, your job is not to argue with the police. I said, the main thing is get away. You know, arrive alive. Do what you got to do and get away. Then tell us. I got a character in my family. Police pull. He got dreadlocks. He got carrying on all kind of ways. And police pull him over. I think they wind up giving him a ticket or something like that. He gets away and then gets mad and goes to the police department to pick a fight, to go over there and argue with the people. I said, look, you know, you headed down the wrong way, bro. I mean, you keep this up, nothing good is gonna come of that. You know, and so they got to understand. Don't fight with them. Just get away. You know, we see ultimately what can happen. Yeah.
Right.
Do what you got to do. Suck it up, whatever, and get away from these people because it can get ugly early.
And what they got to understand is that officer on the scene, he's not making the final decision. You know, so once you're able to get away from that, you know, then you're going to end up dealing with somebody else that's going to make that final decision on what happens.
333-8160. We're going to wrap up. We got a 4 minute, 4 minutes, then we go to break, then we'll be done. We got one more caller? Okay. Good morning. You on the air. What's your question, comment? Hello. You on the air? Go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to make a comment to what you guys are talking about.
Go ahead.
And you all are right. You know, there are some guys that's out here that's doing wrong, and those are the ones who really pretty much hate the police because they're doing wrong. But for the most part, man, we know that ain't the truth, man. My man just called in and said they was trying to irritate him, and he didn't allow it. So just think, we going through a lot in our community, and I'm not excusing nobody doing nothing wrong. But why we always trying to excuse the police? All the police not bad. We know that all white people are not bad, but we still had slavery, and we still had segregation. We need a change, man. It's not about us as far as being mad at the police for no reason. We're walking around mad because we are a created people in this country. We have a reason to be mad. Just look at the courts. The government sent down a law, and all the black mayors are mad at that law, and they preying on their own people out there in North County. The black mayors are mad at the law. But where were they after Mike Brown got killed? Where were all those mayors at then? What we need to understand is this, Mr. Bosley, and I'm gonna leave you, and God bless you on the new year and everything, and your guests. But what I want to say is this: if you are a hurting person, you're not gonna come and try to get assistance or change with a smile on your face. And that's what the police have to understand. It's just like the guy in Chicago. They lie, they deny, and they evade. They killed that young man, but look in the police report. So if we seeing this as a people, from day one of being in this country all the way to 2015, you mean to tell me that it's us? And the reason why we mad at them? Because we are bad people? Man, please, man, we need to wake up as a people, man, and come together and realize the system they got set up against us. God bless y'all, man.
Okay, man. Happy holidays to you. All right, Perry. Now, he unloaded. Now, so what? How do you respond to that? You know, what's your talk?
He makes a lot of valid points.
Absolutely.
The one thing I want him to understand, and I'll repeat it over and over, we're not all the same.
Yeah.
And those of us that are the good officers out there, we have to step it up and give the public that we deal with some faith in us.
Yeah. Well, what I like about it is like he calls in. See, if people are doing that and they getting it out,
yep.
You know, so it ain't like he harboring it and walking away and saying, "Oh man, ain't nothing going." But he's trying to express, and he did express.
He did.
And I guess the question becomes: we know our history, we know how we was treated, we know our minds is messed up.
Right.
We know the physical bondage is off, but the mental is still, I think, is worse than the physical. So. I want to thank you for being here with
thank
us,
you for having
and
me.
Brother Simmons, as
Yes,
usual.
sir.
You know, but we want to say to you, Brother Johnson, Lieutenant, whenever you got something going on, or if it's a program you want to announce, if you want to bring some of the kids back to talk about the different, see, what we need is some testimonials. If you want to bring some kids back and talk about the ID, I like the ID. If you want to bring some kids back and let them talk, just share with the audience, and people will feel that. They'll know what's going on. So we want to say thank you, and Eddie, don't forget to follow up on that, because we like to have, maybe around the first of the year, some kids with some testimonials. All right?
Definitely.
All right. Thank you very much, Lieutenant. Appreciate it.
Sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard we had the police now. Quit playing.